good evening, good morning, good night, you lovelies. It is the one, the only Cappy D Bar, and we are here to talk about some wrestling. All right, a couple of graps, a couple of slaps, a couple of maps, and a couple of dap ups. All right, this was Dynamite. This will be our episode for Dynamite, all right, January 21st, 2026. Now, between me, you, and the upload bar, I may or may not be busy recording a side project, so I'm a tad burnt out when it comes to being in front of this good old-fashioned microphone. But we are going to get to what's necessary when it comes to the graps and the taps, all right? We have a very fun Dynamite. This Dynamite was very entertaining. Taz was on the comms, being that Daniel Bryanson was just like away for the episode. Not the worst thing in the world. Not the worst thing in the world, because heel Taz is very entertaining. But maybe we'll get a 4-man eventually on Dynamite, or maybe even like every week we might get like a just variation of Excalibur and Bryan. Maybe we'll get like Tony and Schiavone, Taz some other weeks. Who knows where that's gonna go, right? I definitely said that they needed to add a little bit more color to these comms, and it seems like Tony is taking that in stride, so good on you, Tony. All right, the first thing we will be talking about of tonight's Dynamite, all right, is going to be a very sudden push for one Brody King. It seems that he is slotted sometime in the next couple of weeks leading up to Revolution to have a very, very fun match with MJF. MJF is great in that ring. Brody King can practically get a 4-star match at anybody he walks through those ropes with, so this should be very entertaining. I watched an episode of Botchamania tonight. Apparently he got a little slipped up on one of last week's promos. I didn't even catch it because that's how little of my attention went to that Jonathan Cruz and Brody King segment last week. But saying all this to say, it does seem like MJF is at least, very cautious. He has to watch out for Who's house, Swerve's house. He has to watch out for the Blue Sky Cowboy. Also has to watch out for the Tribal Chief. All that wrapped around with Kenny Omega and somebody like a Brody King on the horizon. It's a lot of heads. Hey, heavy is the crown heavy is the head that wears the crown. Am I right? What I really liked though was the beginning match. All right, this first match of the night, we get Samoa Joe versus Speedball Mike Bailey. Great fucking match. This was an insane option to start off your fucking card with, right? Now we are going to be talking about how the card is formatted a little later in the night, which I was a massive fan of. But this match specifically, this is a great place to keep your crowd engaged for the rest of the night, right? Because Samoa Joe, he goes out there and he wrestles a really good match for at least like 50% of this showing, and then the other half is basically just like the ops going out there and kind of playing dirty. I assumed that somebody would go out there and kind of like level the playing field with Speedball Mike Bailey, but I'm not gonna lie, for like a good 5 or so minutes, it's just him getting thrown around. Like they jumped the fuck out of him. They jumped the fuck out of Speedball. They jumped the fuck out of them, right? They jumped the fuck out of Speedball Mike Bailey, and it's not great. It's not great. It's not amazing. But this is the end of the match. Obviously, Samoa Joe can't lose. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I think Tony Khan has booked crazier things. I really like this match though, and again, this is a great place to start your Dynamite. Both Jets. Both Jet Speed members, Speedball Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight, got horsecock chants. For those who don't know, horsecock is the proposed tag team name for Hangman Adam Page and Jet Speed. I think if they wanted to, they could do horse cockpit, right? Because jet speed, planes, horse, it could work, right? But that's not what they go with. But that's obvious. Obviously, I don't know. I don't think they're going to be able to go with that. All right, who knows? Maybe they will. All right, I think I might sell in a couple shirts. Very, very cool match. But my only issue really is that it took three of you niggas to beat Speedball Mike Bailey. Really? 3 of you? Like Shibata and Hook? I don't know. But if I hadn't said it already, I also really like heel Taz, just like Nigel McGuinness. I think it adds a good level of flavor to the commentary. Next thing that we are going to be talking about, all right, is the 6-man tornado death match with the Death Riders and the Don Callis family. This was a very extreme match, and I don't mean that in like an ECW way. I mean that like a CZW kind of way, and maybe that's a positive, for some people. This match was good. Yuta Wheeler definitely has a lot of more moments to shine than everyone else in this match. Don't know how, don't know why. He definitely gets put through a table, but for some reason he's right next to Moxley when it comes to just wrestling prowess in this match. Couldn't explain it to you, right? But what we get from this is Hechicero. Man, I forgot the guy's name. I said it like 90 times. I hate that I didn't take it down. It's something. Oh man, I forgot this guy's name. But it's Hechicero, some other luchador, and but it's Hechicero, some other luchador, and the LeBron James of professional wrestling, Lance Archer. They're basically going out there just a 6-man like Extreme Rules match. It's fine. I don't hate it. My only issue is that Daniel Garcia and Yuta are in the match. Instead of like Claudio, like your heavy hitters. Apparently Pac is injured, which is like, that's neither here nor there. But it really did confuse me for a moment when I'm like, why the fuck am I watching Yuta versus Lance Archer? This is just such an interesting pairing this is. Also, Yuta Wheeler and Daniel Garcia trying to like work up like face heat. It's just interesting. I thought for a moment we would see Danny Garcia go for like that. I thought for a moment we see Danny Garcia go for like that hand spot thing where he like charges up from like the crowd's energy, but that didn't happen. Who cares? Not that important. I really am curious on how they are going to portray the Death Riders as faces moving forward. But for what this being, for this being everything that we get from the Death Riders, don't hate it, not entirely opposed to it. I really also love Marina Shafir just being stressed in the background. Like, as I said, this is a lot more CZW than like ECW in a weird way. Like, a fucking plate of barbed wire and glass comes out. And for a moment, I genuinely felt like Dave Meltzer or Jim Cornette. I'm like, well, why is this here? Why is this here? Is this just like a normal like 6? And that's another thing. I guess it's not even like a 6-man tag match. It's like a grudge match. But then I'm like, if this is a grudge match, then why ain't one of like the real Don Callis family members out here? I mean, listen, we're gonna talk about it, right? The idea of Mox versus Andrade. John Moxley versus Andrade. It moves me in places I will not speak on. All right. The idea of Daniel Garcia versus the Rainmaker. Okay. Kazuchika Okada. All right. I think that would be a great match. I think that'd be an amazing match. Right. Like the idea of Hechicero versus Claudio Castagnoli. Great matches. Why don't we get that? Huh? Whatever. The Death Riders pick up the dub. Really simple match. It really isn't. It isn't the prettiest though. Like, there's a spot like Moxley gets like that was like a crazy blade drop. What happened to Moxley's back? I'm not even gonna lie to you. I was looking at this show, I'm like, Jesus Christ, Mox, because it wasn't just like barbed wire. It was like barbed wire, glass, and thumbtacks. I'm like, who greenlight Mox? Mox greenlighted it. Yep. Thought about it for 2 seconds. Answer my own question. That was silly. After the Death Riders pick up the dub against the Don Callis family, John Moxley and Marina Shafir. Marina Shafir also, she had an amazing spot. I'm probably gonna make it the fucking poster for this segment, but Marina Shafir had an amazing spot during this fucking match where she essentially like put Lance Archer in like a triangle choke. It was fucking phenomenal, right? They corner Don Callis and they say, "Hey, you know exactly where to find this big homie. All right, so don't take too long, right?" I love that. We will be seeing Konosuke Takeshita or again Kazuchika Okada in one of these matches with the Death Riders. All right, we could be getting Okada versus Claudio. Nigga, Okada versus Claudio would move the fucking world, Tony. It would move the world. All right, that's the thing about the 6-man tag match. We get an advertisement for a Billy Gunn match. Hey, Tony Khan, look at me. Don't ever do that shit again. Don't ever do that. When I'm watching John Moxley wrestle, don't tell me about what Billy Gunn is doing. Send me a text message. Put something in the fucking TikTok bulletin about Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn is getting more minutes than Max Caster. So I know I said that I was done with this segment, right? I know I did. But 2 really quick things. There's an insanely tough Claudio spot that I'll be putting right here.
What is Pac even doing out here is my question. Look at Claudio Castagnoli!
Oh, so tough, so fucking tough. And also very small. I really wish that Brian Danielson would have been here for this taping of Yuta and Daniel Garcia working as faces in this match. I just think that for a case of storytelling, that would have been fucking beautiful. It is what it is. Next segment we will be talking like it is what it is. The brawl that we got, it was very entertaining for the most part, and I think looking back on it, this match will be viewed as a fan favorite. All right, and one of those moments that Drainmaker will be posting about in a year's time, right? So maybe I don't want to be too hard. So I don't want to be too harsh on this match, but I really do feel like there were other aspects that we could have gotten. All right, really quick, we do get an FTR segment. FTR is doing their thing, right? FTR has a match against Alex Price and the new hires. The new hires. I unfortunately forgot their names briefly, but it was a really nice match, really fun match. It's only done in about maybe 8 or so minutes. Great opening, a great debut for these two guys. There are a defined tag team. When they were both kind of in front of MJF, I was like, what the fuck, isn't it like a 1v1 match? Who is this other guy? But apparently it's like a management kind of thing. He's probably there on like holding ropes. I didn't watch the match because I'm like, I have a fucking job, I have things I have to do with my life, right? But the match I heard was pretty good, and the idea that these guys are tag team wrestling, pretty fire. I'm not gonna lie, pretty okay with this match all in all. I would love to see these two, Alex Price and Alec Price or something like that. I forget the other guy's name. I would love to see them go against Skyflight though. Like these guys locking up with Dante Martin and Scorpio Sky. Ooh, great grabs. Maybe we'll get that for an episode or Collision one of these nights. There's a really cool gut kick into a Famouser, and that shit was tough. Like, that shit was very tough. These two have an amazing showing. And I also really like just Taz just like beating the piss out of these two guys, man. It was cool. It was really cool. You know, again, Taz, heel Taz, very entertaining. And the showing from these two on their debut night, worth every fucking minute. They made every minute count, and that's all you can do. FTR, they look like tag champions. They fucking wrestle like tag champions. They look like they quite literally look and act the part, right? So I'm really looking forward to that Davis and Doyle match. I guarantee it's going to be somewhere in the atmosphere of 4 stars minimum 4 stars. Easy -2 stars to the entire night for the production crew and the cameramen being on the fucking camera the entire night. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I remember making a Dynamite or a Collision review maybe a couple or so days ago where I literally spazzed out because the fucking cameramen keep going. It looked like there was a fucking like a Royal Rumble run-in, and it was just a cameraman just fixing the wires. Tony, keep your eyes focused on the fucking ring. Why am I looking at somebody who quite literally is setting off my kayfabe triggers? I'm like, is this fucking Randy Orton? Like, who the fuck is this guy with a bald head soaking in the fucking corner, right? Ready to strike with an arcade? Like, no, it's just fucking Philip, who works at Home Depot on Wednesdays fixing the fucking cable wires. Like, my nigga, fix this shit, all right? All right, in the words of Mr. House, irksome. Okay, I really wasn't a fan of it. Also, Josh Alexander going out there, and ruining Kenny Omega's entrance, like one of his first real matches of 2026, and that's what you do? Really? That's what you're gonna do, Josh Alexander? Really? All right, my nigga, we gonna show you. All right, Josh Alexander went out there, and honestly, I could, shit talk and being bald. I can make fun of the silly little gear that Mox kicked off in that great spot that one time. But I really do appreciate everything that Josh Alexander brings to the sport. It is like a really evolved level of what Kurt Angle was doing, a very higher level of what aspects of a Chad Gable can bring to this game. It was just fun. It was very fun to watch, and it was very fun to engage with. I can obviously tell that Kenny Omega was having a great time. Kenny looked great in this ring, like quite literally the cleaner. Like, you couldn't watch this fucking you couldn't watch this episode or this match and not understand who Kenny Omega is, why he is who he is, and what he's capable of, right? There's a moment where, the suicide dive, one of his famous suicide dives, right? It gets kind of rejected and, kind of reverted off. But then in like 10 minutes times, right? Like after a couple of insane bumps, he finds a way to hit the fucking suicide dive. And it's insane because it's maybe like 3/4 through this match, and you still believe that there's still at least like another 20 of this match to go. Kenny Omega is a great pound for pound wrestler, the best bout machine. That is not a name that they say hyperbolically. Watch him wrestle and argue that he is watch him wrestle and argue that you can find a best pound for pound competitor. You almost can't. You almost can't say that you can, right? Even Don Callis breaks kayfabe and he says he looks amazing, right? Kenny Omega quite literally is in some of the best shape that he's been in his life, right? But to wrap this up, Josh Alexander eats those Omega strokes. It's a V trigger, power bomb, V trigger, 1, 2, 3. Then Kenny Omega says, "Hey, I feel great. I look great. Max, you best be on the lookout, my nigga. It's up." All right, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm cool. I'm very, very, very cool with Kenny picking up that belt. I'm even cool with him maybe even doing like a Kenny Hangman segment in the latter half of this four-way feud that's going on. I don't know what the fuck to expect. I'm very, very pleased though, and through a sheer display of his abilities, all right, proves night in and night out like what he's capable of and how much he deserves to be where he is. All right, really, this is a very fun match. I really enjoyed everything that Kenny Omega brought, and I can't stress that enough. All right, next match that I also thought was very fun, but it was very somewhat disappointing. This was the only women's match on the whole card, and it was the Banes of Beauty versus the Timeless Love Bombs. Okay, now Mina Shirakawa is very loved in this household, and Mina Shirakawa is extremely talented. I need for Mina Shirakawa to go on a title run before this fucking AEW contract is up. It's mandatory. It's mandatory. The idea that we're not getting Sheena, like the idea that we're getting Rio and Mina Shirakawa during like a pay-per-view event for the fucking world title, insane. It's insane. It's insane. It's fucking crazy. And I think we all can agree that Mina Shirakawa is capable of that at least title contendership, right? Maybe she doesn't win, maybe she doesn't go all the way, but I really do think that they have enough women in that locker room, all right, with the Queen of Minita, with the Thekla, right, with the Rio, right, even to some extent with the Toni Storm, with the Mina Shirakawa, with the Toni Storm, right, with the Toni Storm, with a Marina Shafir, where they can just display a stiff Joshi-esque style, and it would sell in a heartbeat. I definitely think that they need to use this women's locker room and this women's roster a lot more. It's like a lot more. It's a very fun match, but due to outside interference, the Timeless Love Bombs end up losing. Mina Shirakawa eats a pin, and she's making money over fist, right? I doubt she wants to sit here and change up the program, but I'm telling you, Mina Shirakawa is on that level of wrestling where she can be a world champion. It's in the works. It's possible, right? But we'll get it when we get it, I guess. Last match of the night. All right, we are going to be talking about, all right, the one, the only, but I definitely, right, that's my little soliloquy on that. Also Penelope Ford, she has a great showing in this match. Again, she's lined up against Megan Bayne, future world champion in her own right. So I think Penelope Ford, she's keeping up as much as she can. She has a very tough dodge, like towards the latter half of this match where they're ending. Very, very good shit from everybody involved. It kind of reminds me of like when the Sisters of Sin, when they find a way to start cooking like halfway into their match. It's just fun. It's entertaining to watch. All right. But I really hated this finish with Marina Shafir running in. I didn't like that. I hate that this women's roster is barely utilized. And I don't know. Maybe like a women's Continental Classic would make me feel better or something. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe with a Toni Storm, Mercedes 1A finale. I don't know. It's time to get to probably everybody's favorite part of the night. Kevin Knight, the Kinetic Knight, as I like to call him, versus Whose House. This was a very fun match. I had a lot of interesting things to say about this match in the the kind of construction of it, kind of going into the OG, young OG, shout out to Javon kind of factor, or even just the simple aspect of Kevin Knight one day, right, having to line up against a heel Swerve just for like the sake of kayfabe, right, and how that could tell a story, maybe even maturing him past Jet Speed, kind of the way that Hangman and Swerve feud matured Lord Hangman past just, like the beer drinking cowboy, right? Like the character work that could hypothetically go into this match building towards the future of the AEW, it could be monumental. And that is why I said earlier that this is a timeless Dynamite. This Dynamite is 10 out of 10. It's perfect. It has everything you could ask for. The champions are here. They're present. There's superstar power on this roster. All right. Kenny Omega is present. Swerve Strickland is present. Hangman is present. Superstars. All right. Now we can talk about the women's wrestling all we want, but for lack of a better word, we did get a setup with Chris Statlander and Thekla. That will be a good match. I do have high hopes for Thekla moving forward, right? And I could also sit here and say that Kevin Knight, with everything that he's been doing with not only Jet Speed, but independently as a wrestler, is fucking phenomenal. It's great. It's great. And I didn't want to use that word, honestly, until I got to this match, because this match is fucking phenomenal. It's great. All right, Prince Nana is a great second fiddle to Swerve Strickland, and there are moments during this match like he genuinely gives me goosebumps. Like he walks past Kevin, he's like, "Sorry, I'm sorry it had to be this way, Kevin, but you're in there with the most dangerous man alive." And then there's other moments where he's screaming at him like, "Get up, Kevin! This is what you worked for. This is everything you wanted. This is everything you wanted, right?" And it's like, fuck, man, just like the presentation of this match, like the threshold of Swerve Strickland being what you cannot achieve in this fucking company, man. And it's so interesting because apparently somebody said that this was the anniversary of when he made his AEW debut, apparently like in the same building as well. So man, just big fucking ups to Swerve. He was memorializing memorial to his producer Prophet, rest in peace. Apparently he assisted him with about 3 of all of his theme songs, for the dub. Who knows, maybe even before then, right, for some indie shit. So it's it's really unfortunate seeing that, but I mean, he played with his heart. Like there was a lot of just mentory moments that weren't very hands-on, like Swerve Strickland actively pushing the pace. And we've talked about this with Kevin Knight before and how he is so amazing with match tempo and ring psychology. Swerve, he turns it on in a fucking switch, and Kevin Knight, he doesn't miss a step. He doesn't miss a step, and it's honestly awe-inspiring. It is awe-inspiring. It is definitely tape study worth shit. And this was a 5 out of 5 Dynamite. This was a 10-star Dynamite. Anyone who tells you different is lying. When you look at the Kenny match, when you look at the Swerve match, when you look at what we get from individuals like a John Moxley, right, with that story with Don Callis, when you look at what this Dynamite will mean looking back, right, looking back with hindsight, this is going to be a very pivotal Dynamite. All right, and this was good, man. This is really good shit. Also, a lot of horse cock chants. So I mean, listen, man, I think that's just taking on a life of its own. But this is very fun. This is very entertaining. I had a good time watching this Dynamite. Again, that was January 21st, 2026. That was my official review. It's me, your boy Cappy. I'm, looking forward to everything that we can be getting with Collision. The Federation's SmackDown is still on the way. I'll try to get one piece video out in the time span I can. So, I'll try to keep this brief. Okay, as I always say. All right, stay tuned, stay safe, stay beautiful. All right, peace.